All right, hello YouTube. Thanks for watching and tuning in here. Also, if you've been on the site, troutstrike.com, thank you for supporting. Really trying to create something unique there for fly anglers, a place for you to go to continue learning when you're not able to be on the water. And you know, because that's what this sport is all about. So whether it's about tactics or about tying, just always learning, never stop learning about fly fishing for trout. So today we are going to be tying the most popular fly that sells on the site. It is a variation of Egan's Thread Frenchie. It is tied with a Chartreuse collar. It is tied with a hot yellow ribbing, and again, Coq De Leon tail. This one in the vise right now is a size 14. It's got a 2.8 bead. This is one I would consider to be a medium size to simplify things. I don't get so caught up in the variety of patterns as I used to. I've simplified that. I get more concerned about the weight of the fly and how I organize them. So again, this is a 2.8 millimeter bead. I consider that my medium size. Whether that's tied on a size 12 hook or on a size 18 hook, the weight is mostly what I'm concerned about. So to give you another reference, a 2.4 millimeter bead would be a smaller bead. I would consider that a small size. And then a 3.2 millimeter bead, which we're going to tie here in a minute, would be my large size. So if you think about it the way you would order you know, a soft drink at McDonald's, small, medium, or large, that's generally the way I try to organize my flies. Now, you can go above that. You can supersize it if you want. You can go with bead sizes higher than that, and I do that. You can go up, you know, 3.5, 3.8, 4, depending. But those are usually different types of conditions: high water, deep water, that kind of thing. So what I find for probably 90% of the time that I'm fishing, unless there's really extreme either low water or high water, those three sizes work pretty well, especially when you have them in a tandem and you can pair them. So you know, you put two 3.2 beads on a Euro nymphing rig, that's pretty heavy. That's going to get you down into pretty fast, pretty deep water. If you have to go higher than that, you could be dealing with windy conditions. You may need to go higher, but I generally find that's the bulk of what I carry. I certainly carry some of those extra large and extra small sizes as well. But anyway, we're going to get tying this one today. It's a quick tie. It's an easy tie. In the vise, I am going to put a size 14 jig style hook. It's got the 60-degree bend up at the eye. And then I'm going to do what I would consider a large bead. This is a 3.2 millimeter bead, and that's going to be what I would consider my large size. So I'm putting this one at the point, you know, at a pretty good flow. You know, if I'm fishing, you know, something faster than walking speed, that's, you know, maybe 4 feet deep. You know, I'm probably, I'd rather be too heavy than too light. So this size is often at the point of my rig. I may trail it with a 2.4 bead, so I would go with a large at the point, and then you know, a small off the tag. A lot of different combinations, especially if you're not using split shots. If you're relying on the weight of this bead, it's important to know what you're fishing. So, all right, we're going to get started. The thread that we're going to be using today is UTC 70 denier and in color olive. So I'm going to just get started. I'm going to come down to the bend of the hook with some touching turns. I'm going to get a little more than halfway. I'm going to snap that end off, and then I'm going to come down just to where it starts to turn, and then I'm going to come back where I'm going to put my tail in. All right, so I don't mind if that thread just extends down just a little bit. It creates a tiny little bump there. And then the next part is my my tail, my Coq De Leon. I'm going to grab about I don't know, anywhere from 3 to 5, 6 fibers. You know, you get 7 in there, nobody's gonna create an issue. But if you get too many and the tails just start looking too bushy and unnatural, I don't like that. So I generally try to keep it pretty thin. Now I did a pinch wrap there, and I brought 2 wraps around, and I like to take a look at it. That looks pretty good. If I get it too long, I can pull here and fix it. I can make a little adjustment there, but that length looks pretty good for the size of a hook. And now I'm going to do touching turns again. I'm going to bring it back up, and I'm gonna try to get these Coq De Leon fibers. And this applies again when I'm tying. Try to apply the concepts to whether this is a pheasant tail or anything else. You know, when you're tying your tail in, you're going to have this excess. Whatever material I'm using for a tail, I like for that excess to go right into that slot of the bead, and that is my way of making sure my bead's going the right way, and that's going to help me to secure the bead down too. So I'll turn that so you can see what I mean. So this extra Coq De Leon, which is going to get snipped off, I like that to line up right in the slot of the bead, and then I can look at that and I make sure I don't have the bead upside down. You want the small part of the slot to be up top. If you have a big gap in there, that means you have the bead flipped. So you want to make sure that you have the small part of the gap showing up top. Again, if you get to the end of the fly and you realize you mixed it up, the fish are still going to eat it. But it just might not look uniform in your box, and I like things to be uniform. All right, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my my UTC wire. Again, I'm using the Brassie. I like the diameter of the Brassie. If you have size small, you know, that's fine. If you have size medium, that's fine too. But you know, I just for this size fly, I feel like the diameter, the right diameter is the Brassie. It's going to give the fly just a little bit of texture, because really the body of this fly is nothing more than thread. So this seems to be the perfect diameter. So you noticed I put the wire right into the slot of the bead, and then I just started going down. I want to make sure that when I make my first turn, my first counter wrap with the wire, that it's not running into the tail. So that looks pretty good right there. And now I'm going to come back up. I'm going to spin my bobbin to flatten the thread. I'm going to come back up. All right, and now I'm going to secure it again. You can see I'm going to run the thread through that slot of the bead. I'm going to keep some tension on it. I'm going to hang it off the bobbin, and that puts a little tension there, and that holds that bead in place so it doesn't turn around on you. All right, when I start to wrap my thread, I'm going to just kind of eyeball the first turn, and then I'm going to hold this real steady in my right hand, and with my left hand I'm going to turn the bobbin so I get nice, even, uniform wraps. And if you don't get these perfectly even, the trout are never going to eat the fly. No, that's not true. I'm just fussy about that. These are going out to customers, so I like them to look nice, and I like when they look nice in my box too. All right, so at this point you're going to use 2 turns to secure your wire, and then I usually bring this back and do 1 in front of the bead. 3 turns is fine. Don't start doing a bunch of thread wraps there and creating a lot of bulk. You're going to helicopter your wire off and set that aside. Don't lose that. You're going to want to use that again. And now I'm going to take my bodkin, and I'm going to use my Loon Flow. It's a UV resin. It's pretty thin, and that's good for this fly. And I'm going to just get that on the body of the fly. I want to get it in between the thread wraps. Really, I'm just coating that thread. It's going to protect the fly, it's going to make it durable, and it's going to give it a little bit better of a sink rate. Now, if you glob it on there and you get too much, not a big deal. This stuff's really forgiving. You just dab it with your finger. Okay, and then I'm going to hit it with my infinity light. Love the Loon infinity light. I'm going to zap that. Make sure I spin it around. Make sure I get it cured. That's going to seal the fly up, and that's going to make it relatively indestructible fly. You're going to lose it in a tree or the bottom of the stream before you catch enough trout to really damage it. So at least that's been my experience, but I don't catch that many fish. So all right, Last part is the Orvis Spectra blend. To be honest, I don't even know if they make this stuff anymore. I've had it forever, but I really like the color of it. I love the ice dub. A lot of times I will put the hot collar with ice dub. It's got a lot of flash to it. The problem I find with ice dub though is it's hard for me to get a really, really tight dubbing noodle. So sometimes the hot collar can look a little messy. So I'm going to take just a pinch of this stuff and I'm going to put it on. What I like about it, even at a thin amount, it's going to give me a nice tight noodle, but it's going to give me a bright color for my hot collar, and about an inch. So that is only about an inch on there. You don't want a lot, just enough to go around the fly a couple of times. So I'm going to come back around the bead. Just like tying a necktie here. I'm going to just put a nice little hot collar on. I'm not going to get crazy. Some of these hot collars I see, they make up more than half the fly. You know, I don't want to do that. Now, the one thing that I'm going to do is I'm also going to bring the thread back. And I know it's going to ruin the aesthetics of the fly a little bit, but I don't care. I want it to be durable. I'm going to bring one up through just to hold that dubbing in place. And then I'm going to do my whip finish. But before I do my whip finish, I'm going to put a little bit of resin on the thread, because you don't want that coming loose. So I put a little bit of resin on the thread when I go to do my whip finish. It's gonna get down into that knot. Do about a 5 or 6 turn whip finish. Get that little bit of green collar behind the Chartreuse, behind the copper. Looks real nice. Trout love it. I love it. All right, last thing, gonna zap it again with the UV light, just to make sure that knot is nice and sealed. I'm gonna give it just a tiny little haircut, because you know that'll make or break your day out on the water. All right, so there it is. That is one of the most popular flies that we sell. Great pattern, very effective. Again, I encourage you to tie this in a variety of weights and a variety of sizes. I tie it as large as a size 12 all the way down to a 20, and I really vary that bead size. You know, I have a lot of different color combinations will work with this. So whatever you can dream of with this fly, you're going to make an effective fly. But again, learning this fly is, if you're just getting started, this is a really great fly to learn on. It's going to teach you proportions. It's going to teach you how to get the tail right. It's going to teach you about the little bit of how to use a little bit of dubbing, and a little bit of dubbing goes the wrong way. Gets you using the rotary feature of your vise if you have it. So you know, practice this one, and that's going to make, you know, whatever you're going to tie down the line, whether it's pheasant tail, whether it's, you know, hare's ear, waltz worm, it's going to make all of that very easy. If you can tie this one, you can tie just about anything in terms of this style of heavy weighted nymphs. Not real complicated to tie. So again, I want to thank you for watching today. I hope you enjoyed this. Hope you learned something. Want to encourage you to get out there and check out troutstrike.com if you haven't done so. We've got a news feed on there. We've got some feature articles. There's even a fly shop on there. So check that out. If you like this video, hit the like button. Be sure to subscribe.